Good morning. I'm Lisa Cordes, President and CEO of United Way of Central Ohio. Thank you for joining us for the Rally for Recovery kickoff. We're so pleased to have you participate in Rally for Recovery. Many years ago, United Way would come together, companies that are supporting United Way campaigns, and have a big rally. And over the years, that changed, and now companies run campaigns throughout the year. But this year, now that we are faced with being virtual, we reached out to our closest partners, such as your company, and asked if you would run your campaign the same week and join together to raise money for COVID relief and recovery. As you know, the needs in the community are great, and they will continue, unfortunately, we believe, to get even greater. So we very much appreciate your willingness to learn more this week about the needs in the community, take advantage of programming like virtual poverty simulations, hear from business leaders about the case for support, business support for improving our community. And on Wednesday, the CMC program, the Columbus Metropolitan Club program, will also be on achieving racial equity in the nonprofit sector. So please look at our website for Rally for Recovery, where you can see a series of programs throughout the week, and certainly you'll find one or more that are of great interest to you. We will have guests that will join us in a few minutes, and they are leaders in our nonprofit sector to share with you the impact that the sector has had on their work and how support for their organizations and United Way has helped so many people. I want to turn it over to my colleague, Michael Wilkos, Senior Vice President of Community Impact, who will give you an update on the impact of the sector as a result of the pandemic, nonprofit sector. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Lisa. My name is Michael Wilkos. I'm Senior Vice President of United Way in the Community Impact Department, which simply means we are the portion of United Way that makes investments in our nonprofit sector. And we have been surveying the nonprofit sector since COVID started. I'm going to share my screen and show a couple slides. So in March, shortly after the pandemic started, we wanted to get a read of how COVID-19 in those early days was impacting the nonprofit sector shortly after the stay-at-home order. We've subsequently surveyed the sector and then in April, May, July, and September. Clearly, one of the things that we saw would happen across the community was tens of thousands of people in Franklin County lost their jobs, all child care centers closed. We saw a huge increase in basic needs, and all schools went virtual. Everybody in the community was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. But specifically, we surveyed 85 nonprofits that have a combined workforce of 15,000 people and 1,000 programs spread across basic needs and student success and workforce development. What we saw is within the first month, 150 programs, or 15%, completely suspended services. Much of that was in the in-school and after-school programming, but another 550 programs were operating at a limited capacity, or 55%, as they were quickly trying to figure out how to shift from in-person to virtual. And the 300 programs that continued to be unchanged were mostly in the space of food access, food delivery, and also shelter. There was a huge loss of revenue to the nonprofit sector, where the vast majority of nonprofits reported both a loss of revenue and increased expenses as they were looking mainly at personal protective equipment and cleaning costs. However, the federal Paycheck Protection Program was incredibly helpful to the nonprofit sector. Again, we surveyed 85 nonprofits, and 80% of our United Way Health and Human Service network was eligible for this program. You can see the mean and median that our agencies were able to leverage, but about $49 million was brought into this community from that federal support system that enabled our frontline health and human service nonprofit delivery system to continue its great services. However, the loss of revenue wasn't the only struggle that the nonprofit sector was facing. What you can see here is that 70% of the network needs some type of professional or technical support, specifically as they move from that in-person to virtual. If you look at some of the examples and the hardware and software examples, the need for laptops and tablets and cell phones or teleconferencing subscriptions and telemedicine was something that much of the network was behind on, and United Way has been working with its corporate partners to provide not just the financial support that is needed, but this is the area where the corporate community in Columbus really shines, and their ability to partner alongside nonprofits to upgrade their technology and their software needs, as well as what does it mean now to run marketing and advertising, other communications and staff issues when you are now for many of them, a virtual organization. However, the Paycheck Protection Program is coming to an end. About half that network will have expired all of their funds this month. Another big chunk will be gone by the end of the year. When asked if there was another round of federal support, 74% of the sector said they would reapply for a second round. We're feeling less optimistic, however, that second round will be coming. In the question of once those PPP funds are gone, how difficult might it be for you to retain employees? 26% indicated very or extremely concerned. When you add in moderate, about 60% of the nonprofit sector is concerned about being able to maintain their current staff levels once that support has been expended. United Way, as Lisa said, has raised significant dollars to support the nonprofit sector. This is a list of the more than now 80 nonprofits we have been able to provide financial support to. Much of these were working very quickly in order to get either protective equipment or to do safe spacing or to do cleaning and to also move to a virtual platform. When you look at this list of 80, however, about $1 million of that went to about 11 large organizations that were dealing predominantly with basic needs and early child care issues. We will continue to survey the sector. In fact, Wednesday of this week, we will be unveiling the statistics of our latest survey around racial equity, where we're assessing the readiness of the nonprofit sector to address diversity, inclusion, and equity issues. As a preview to that, 44% of our network has a racial diversity that matches the diversity of Franklin County. However, that diversity is not evenly distributed within the organization, including their board of trustees and senior leadership. What we do know is the issues around race equity have become a significant priority for our nonprofit sector as they are responding to the events of the past 6 months. With that, Lisa, I will turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now I want to share a video from the CEO of Ywca, Lisa Ingram, who's been on the United Way board for 10 years and has also served as the board chair. And right now she's past chairwoman of our board. And Ywca is a fantastic supporter of United Way and are participating in Rally for Recovery. So we will play the video now. Let's not show any more videos. No, but how do I get out of it this time? Well, I understand we had another video challenge. So you know what we're really good at is serving the social services sector. And we will learn to get better at being a technology production center, we assure you. This is our first hour of the week, and we have all week to be great. But in the meantime, I'm going to introduce you to some great people. I have asked 4 leaders to join us this morning, and I ask that they let themselves be seen on this video screen, and have asked if they would, these are nonprofit partners who work closely with us, and I've asked if they could each take 5 minutes or so to describe what is happening, what do they see as a result of the pandemic in their work, and to share a story of impact thanks to your contributions to United Way and to their organization. And I will ask Gina Jen if she would start. And Gina is the CEO and President and CEO of Columbus Early Learning Centers. Good morning, Gina.
Good morning, Lisa. Thank you for having me. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for your time this week as we as a community come together to start to look at what might recovery look like for this community. I will say for most of us in the sector, we have been a part of the response and recovery kind of since day one. So a little bit about our organization. As Lisa had said, I'm the CEO for Columbus Early Learning Centers, a nonprofit organization here in Columbus that was founded in Columbus by women in Columbus in 1887. And so we have been serving children and the youngest children in our community for over 133 years. So our organization works with children and families and provides early learning and care services to those in our community, ranging in age from 6 weeks to 5 years old, with the effort to ensure that they are prepared for kindergarten. Our mission is to help young learners develop, families succeed, and communities thrive. And I think more than ever, that mission statement is something that we are seeing come to life. So COVID has affected us kind of in stages. We were last on the governor's list to be closed for operations. And then we were reopened for operations June 1. During that time, though, because of the support from United Way, we did not have to lay off any of our staff. We were able to keep them employed, and their employment at the time, even though they weren't serving children directly, they were still working on ways that they could serve families either by phone or through dropping off basic needs to families. We dropped off educational kits. We checked in with families through Zoom. We continued all of our home visiting programs and moved to virtual visits, which was a really exciting endeavor for us and for families, and really found that actually we had much better attendance with the virtual meetings with families. And it was just something that I think took us all by surprise, but it was something that was really empowering for families. And the kids really love too getting their own Zoom meetings, which is something that was very exciting for most of our kids. So we reopened operations on June 1st in all of our centers, and I think that one of the important call outs is we were reopened but at reduced capacities, and so the class sizes have been extremely small. There is very limited numbers of people who come in and out of our centers. In fact, one of the rules is that I don't even get to go into our centers anymore. So managing from afar is definitely something that's very different for me. So you can usually see me throughout the week in my sunglasses and my N95 mask, cheering for our teachers outside their windows and knocking on their windows. So usually I'm that crazy lady. making sure that their spirits are lifted and that they have all of the essential items that they need, including cleaning products and PPE and all of those good things. But I think one of the important call outs is, since reopening, what we've really seen is the disproportionate effect on our African American community and our single moms. So if you look at our centers now, we are pretty much we're hovering between 95% and 100% families who are living at or below 200% of the federal poverty level or below. We really prided ourselves as an organization prior to COVID for really diversifying who we were, and really being an organization that served all of our communities. So our racial and our economic structure was very flexible, and it really showed in the diversity within our centers and the diversity within our revenue streams. And now, because of COVID, we're really seeing that those frontline employees and those that are in the service industry are the ones that are kind of disproportionately affected and don't have the opportunity to stay home. So the majority of our families now who are in our centers, although they were always the majority, they're now pretty much every child that we're serving. And so those families continue to have needs that are so much greater than what is just early learning and childcare. So we are on at least a monthly basis doing food assistance for all families. We've also started and are continuing to help families with finding resources for utility assistance, rental assistance, mortgage assistance if it applies, clothing assistance, and then other basic needs like diapers, formula, all of those things that they need, that maybe because of COVID, their hours have been cut and they don't have the resources that they used to have before the pandemic. As an organization, because of serving fewer children and only being allowed to allow certain numbers of children in the classrooms, we are at a loss of about $593,000 so far in earned income and earned revenue for the year. And then that climbs kind of every week. So the support that United Way has provided so far has allowed us to continue professional development for our staff. It's allowed for us to provide those basic needs for families, such as the food bags, the educational kits and educational supplies for kids. It's allowed us to adopt technology that we didn't have access to prior to COVID. And it's allowed for us to retain our employees and to ensure that they are, continuing to be able to work in the community and serve those children that most need it, as well as serve our organization in somewhat of a different capacity because of the new required cleaning requirements and cleaning protocols. So, without United Way, I really don't know where we would be right now. The funding has really been a lifeline for our organization and for those that we serve. And it has really allowed us to continue to operate at the highest levels with the highest capacities that might have otherwise been in question because of the pandemic. So thank you. And I can take any questions after everybody else or now, but we really appreciate the opportunity to share with the community how things look.
Thank you, Gina. Yes, we'll have people, if they'd like to put questions in chat, we will circle back if people have one for you. I'd like to welcome Jamie Noon, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Big Brothers Big Sisters and our longtime partner. Welcome, and please give us an update on your work.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to represent Big Brothers Big Sisters this morning. So we have been in Columbus since 1933. Last year, we served 2,100 youth and 4,700 plus at Camp Ywca. I think one of the things that people know, or the thing that people most recognize when they think about our organization, is our one-to-one mentoring model. And we certainly do that. But in addition, we also have a camp, Camp Ywca in the Hocking Hills, and we also have a capacity building arm within our organization that we are so grateful for in Mentor Central Ohio. And so that enables us to lift up other mentoring organizations. We know that we cannot do this work alone, and so they provide hundreds and hundreds of hours of training for both mentors and mentees, and then also for our own program staff. So we are grateful for that. Much like everybody else, we have certainly seen the impacts of the pandemic, not only the pandemic, but also the civil and social injustice that's occurring in our world and in our community today. And so we understand the implications of that and want to help kids as they navigate through those issues. We know that learning declines resulting from school disruptions, just as Gina said, are expected to be the steepest among low-income African-American and Hispanic students, and that social isolation can both increase the likelihood of adverse childhood experiences and compound their effects. And I believe it's the American Academy of Pediatrics that says social isolation makes it difficult for schools to identify and address learning deficits, behavioral problems, and mental health issues. And so that's really an opportunity for us to really step into that space. And so as the crisis continues, we know that our kids and our families are feeling lasting, profound effects that will require long-term engagement and support, and that our work really could not be more urgent than it is now. In addition to our literacy-focused school-based mentoring program that combines reading instruction, we also include social emotional learning. And so those competencies are things like self-awareness, self-management, relationship skills, social awareness, and responsible decision-making. And we know that that's something that kids are really going to need as they channel hope and resiliency in this time. We, again, could not do this work alone. So we are so grateful for that long-lasting partnership with United Way, and certainly with our other community impact, collective impact partners to step in and engage in this work with us. We talk a lot about the power of relationships, and especially in these times, we know that that's really so important. Like everyone else, we also had a virtual pivot. So we too are learning new technologies every day, engaging with both our school-based and community-based mentors. And so our match support specialists have really stepped in to find new ways to stay engaged with our school partners, with those mentors, those important volunteers, and then obviously with our families. And so that's really one of the things that we try to highlight, is that it really is sort of this triangle of the parent guardian, the mentor, and the student as well. And so one of the things that we've implemented as a result of this pandemic is our Family Resiliency Fund. And we did that at the start of the pandemic when cleaning supplies and basic household items were in short supply. And, how can we really support our families beyond, mentoring? And so this Family Resiliency Fund was created. And one of the best examples that I can share is one of our match support specialists had a little sister that she was working with, and unfortunately their house fell victim to a drive-by shooting. And the little sister was actually shot or struck by a bullet. Thankfully, she's okay. The big sister donated to the Family Resiliency Fund, and because of that fund and those donations, we were able to put the family up in an extended stay hotel for a week. That little was able to continue her remote learning. They were safe, and they were even able to bring their family dog with them to the hotel. And so this allowed them the time to figure out their next steps. And so with the help of that match support specialist, they were able to explore some case management opportunities, get a stable job, and safer housing for the family.
Terrific. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I'd now like to welcome Jessica Whitman-Will from the YWCA. And the YWCA is also a long-standing partner with United Way of Central Ohio and provide lots of important services, but especially important during this time is the Family Center that helps families who are homeless. So I'm eager for our audience to learn more from Jessica.
Thanks so much for having me this morning and highlighting YWCA Columbus. For those of you who aren't familiar with YWCA Columbus, our mission is to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. It's a pretty powerful mission during these times. You know, we're living through a pandemic, but we're also living through a social justice movement, or continue to. So when the pandemic hit, we have obviously had to pivot all programs. As I listen to people, I hear a lot of similarities, obviously. We do have we have 2 shelter programs. Our Family Center, as Lisa mentioned, is emergency shelter for homeless families. And then we also have our Women Residency program, which is permanent supportive housing for formerly homeless women who have mental health diagnosis. Obviously, we've been following all the protocols because we are living in community. We have community living that we have to worry about. So it's just a different kind of challenge to overcome, right? So when we do temperature checks now, we, along with everybody else, we're working to hunt down PPE. When everything hit, all of our leadership calls consisted of, where have you seen wipes, where have you seen thermometers, et cetera, and people just delivering them as they find them as well from the community. So we appreciated that, along with all the supplies needed to put up about 300 people every day through our shelter programs. We've obviously had to suspend all in-person volunteering, but still advocate for the need for items and the help that we need to maintain support that we're used to giving our residents. So that has been, you know, there's people who want to feel that engaged, the actual doing, but how do you make them feel as engaged when they're just dropping items off. So just placing the importance on the fact that just being able to provide food and the supplies is so necessary right now. Obviously for our Family Center program, if anybody's been there, it's a very community environment as far as eating. We've had to change our meal times to distance the meals and add another meal time. We can't take overflow at our Family Center anymore, so every family must have a room. We can't allow visitors at our Women Residency program. Our admin staff is working from home. And then of course, technology issues and the kids trying to navigate, and the parents navigate through education as everyone went home from school and didn't return. Our child care program, we do run a child care program at our Family Center for children who are 6 weeks to 12 years old. That had to shut down, but we quickly applied for a pandemic permit. So we were able to open a pandemic child care to assist our residents and our staff who are frontline workers. We also have after-school childcare programming in Gahanna and Westerville, which had to be shut down as a result. And we estimate that we will lose from that after-school program, lack of running, about $1.9 million by December. And that is obviously, maybe not obviously, but that is a revenue stream to fund all of our programs throughout YWCA. Our events had to pivot to virtual, as everyone else, right? Pivot, 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 that's the word, and we're kind of sick of it, but it's the reality. But we were supposed to have Women of Achievement in April. We were able to reschedule it to August, and it was, I would say, for a virtual event, ended up being successful. Results. Our Women Residency program participants the permanent supportive housing already have mental health issues. We found that they got worse because they no longer had visitors. Also keep in mind that our program is downtown at 4th near the State House. So they were living amongst the protests as things were getting boarded up and helicopters were flying overhead and the National Guard was moved in. They were living amongst that every day. So that definitely had an effect on our staff and our residents at that location. Our frontline staff, speaking of staff, have been very anxious through all this. You know, you're working amongst people during a pandemic, fearing that they're going to bring something home to their family. I mean, just as any frontline staff feel. So we have been able to offer them pandemic pay during all of this. We've received a donation of iPads to use as hotspots for our kids so that they can continue to learn, because we do not have the Wi-Fi needed to support the amount of people on the server. What else? Let's see. Event was well attended. Racial justice, as a result of the support that we've been receiving. Our racial justice program, we can now expand a startup of expansion because there is a great need in our community for racial equity training. As we received many requests from the community, we noticed there was definitely a lack of resources to lead people to. So we are creating our own. As a story that I actually just received this morning, which I thought was kind of perfect, but as a result of the funding that we've received from the community like United Way, I mentioned our women residency program participants have had a really hard time, because especially that lack of visitor piece. They are used to having people come in the building and so forth. And one of the residents was having a really hard time and has been having a really hard time. And as a result of some of the funding, we were able to start up, we do a trauma-informed yoga class for the women. So we are doing a very socially distanced, small group size, mandatory masks, trauma-informed yoga, and the director of the program said that she noticed a huge difference just since she's been attending that. It's made a big impact on this individual resident. So just the little things, right, that I think everyone struggles with right now, but it's compounded when you're living in a homeless situation. So
Thank you, Jessica. I hear a theme of you helped normalize technology glitches, so thank you for that. Chuck, you've missed them. I'm glad you missed our technology blunders. And a theme of really challenged by the lack of resources during this time, the loss of resources. And we appreciate all that you're doing to live with less than what you need to fully operate, and know that the community is behind you as much as it can afford to be behind you, and how important your services are. Chuck Gehring has joined us, and he's president and CEO of Life Care Alliance. And Life Care Alliance has several programs, but probably what is known best for is Meals on Wheels. And it's a critically important time every day, but especially during a pandemic. And Chuck will share with you how they've responded and pivoted during this time. Thank you for joining us, Chuck.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa. I assume everybody can hear me now. So I was listening, and I just wasn't elevated to a panelist yet. So I'm now elevated to a panelist. Thanks to Julie Ward for getting that done today. I've been the CEO of Life Care Alliance for the last 19 years. We before COVID hit, we were the one of the 5 largest Meals on Wheels charity providers in the country. Since COVID hit, we're now the largest, and the reason is we're taking everybody. In most cities around the country, They have huge waiting lists. There was just and we're local, report to a local board, all that kind of stuff, but where Meals on Wheels is throughout the country, many have reported, over 55% of them have reported they have doubled or tripled their waiting list. And they started with a waiting list, which is for food. Waiting lists for food are not the way to go. So we have always taken everybody, and we have continued to do that through COVID. And in fact, we've increased the number of home delivered meals by 65% since March 1st. So we thank the United Way and others for their community support. We couldn't have taken the people without this support. We're not wealthy here. It's a unique situation, but we've been able to ramp up and get all these meals out every single day. 65% is quite an increase. We've served 2,132 new clients this year, new clients in addition to the existing clients. You know, during the early stages of COVID, we were blessed to have a number of volunteers come and help us. Volunteering that United Way pushes all the time is extremely important. And we had those volunteers come and help us, which helped get the meals out and get them delivered to the homes. Unfortunately, with people going back to work or other things, and in some cases, workers being told, hey, don't go out into the community right now, many of those volunteers have gone back to work. So we are still in need of more people. We've spent a ton of money on paid drivers. We always try to have more volunteer drivers than paid drivers, and we probably had pre-COVID the highest volunteer rate in the country. We are still the only group delivering Meals on Wheels in this state on weekends and holidays. We've been going full bore on Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. We ran regular days. Normally those would go way down in numbers because people have support or things like that. And that didn't happen. So we've had to go full bore on the weekdays, the holidays, the weekends, just to get the product out. And we appreciate all of you in the community who have stepped up to come in and assist us by volunteering to get the meals delivered. We've lost some of our biggest supports. While fundraising is still doing fabulously, we are a big social enterprise agency. We have a catering company. The catering company shut down. It shut down. We've started doing weddings again, but that's just started like 2 weeks ago. That's a lot of revenue to us that supports other things like Meals on Wheels. Secondly, I would tell you, we do kids meals for other groups, including the YMCA, and those shut down. Daycare shut down. Now they're starting back up, but at a much lower rate with much smaller numbers of kids. So that's something that's not happening right now, et cetera, et cetera. So we've been blessed to get some CARES Act money and especially help from United Way and others to get these meals out. On a second front, and if you want to hear, I'm going to tell you about a client or two, but if you get the Dispatch, Columbus Dispatch, or you have it online, we are the lead story on the front of the Metro section this morning. How convenient is that? It's about an endowment that we've been working on, trying to get some money in the bank, which we have to do. That's new. 17 years ago, you weren't allowed to have any money in the bank or you couldn't get money, but now you can. So there's a story on there. There's a story about a lovely lady who's 96 years old who gets our meals. So that'll give you a little background also. Also, our Columbus Cancer Clinic, the oldest free cancer clinic in the country. In the old days, because we didn't want people out in the community pre-COVID, we would deliver about 60% of the goods from our pantry to the Columbus Cancer Clinic clients and to the Project Open Hand clients, who are those clients dealing with AIDS and HIV in the community. To use our pantry, we have the odd pantry in the system. To use our pantry, you have to have active cancer or active AIDS. We've been delivering those goods at 100%. So we needed people to deliver those goods, and we are feeding the whole family. So let's say you're going through cancer treatments right now and you're getting chemo treatments or radiation treatments. You are the absolute last group that needs to be out in the community right now because your immune systems are compromised. If you get COVID, you are in deep, deep trouble. I mean, it can claim your life very quickly. So we've been delivering all these goods, but we feed the entire family out of that pantry. So if you, let's say it's a traditional family of a husband, wife, 2 kids, and sometimes it's the kids that get the cancer, but normally it's the adults, and you don't have the money to buy supplies and things like that, we're taking out a week of groceries to you at a time. So that fills up a small car. Think through that one for a minute. So we've been doing that now since the beginning of this. Our catering area and if you've been in our building at 670 Harmon Avenue, we have 3 buildings, but if you've been in that one, you know we have a catering area in front, the cafe. The cafe has been closed down. It has about 25 pallets of product in it this morning. And those will all be packed in the next few days and sent out to people who are in desperate, desperate need. The folks that we serve, we are as basic needs as they get. I know I look pretty in the tie and the shirt this morning, but we are a basic needs, grubby organization. And I can tell you, the people we serve are just in desperate need for these goods. We buy medications, we give out medical supplies, we do whatever we have to do to help these people through. Most have lost their supports. Support being maybe a family member who comes in and took them to the store in the old days. Well, that all stopped during COVID. Can't do that. And frankly, our folks are just afraid to go out. I had a case a week ago. A 91-year-old woman went outside, fell, which is not what we want happening, and died from internal injuries. But we've got a lot of happy stories too, that people constantly write us through this COVID time and have been sending me notes thanking us for what we do and thanking us for getting the food to them because it's the only food they've got. And they're already making decisions between food and buying medicine. So it's a very difficult time. It's more stressful now than ever, but they're making it through. They're getting through. And these folks are your neighbors in Central Ohio. And I hope you are checking in on them when we can't be there. And but they're getting through. And everybody's been good. We've reported nobody going to a homeless shelter in our care. We've reported nobody dying in our care other than this that went outside, and it wasn't our fault. So know that you are making miracles happen every day, and it's a wonderful thing. And I hope you'll all keep us in your thoughts and prayers and keep volunteering for us. And back to you, Dr. Lisa.
Thank you, Chuck. Jamie, what's the best way for, in addition to contributing financially, what are other ways that people can be supportive of Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Oh, that's a great question. There are so many ways for people to get involved. Certainly, we love the financial donation. But as we talked about earlier, there has never been a greater need, a more urgent need for mentors. We have a waiting list. We have kids that need served. And, you know, we've discussed a whole host of reasons this morning why those kids need someone in their corner. You know, we know that, you know, mentoring helps. And, you know, again, those social emotional competencies really encourage, you know, that increased self-awareness, that self-management, those relationship building skills. America's Promise Alliance notes that increasing support from an out-of-school non-parent adult is associated with a 15% decrease in the likelihood of leaving school prior to graduation. You know, we also measure on our youth outcome surveys, things related to, you know, family connectedness, parental trust, juvenile justice system involvement, school attendance, social acceptance and competence. And so we would love to have people contact us regarding serving our organization as mentors. You know, one of the benefits, if you will, of the pandemic is the flexibility that the virtual platform has given to mentors. And so there are lots of ways that you can get involved. You know, there are, you know, any number of things at any given time that certainly we would be grateful for the assistance for.
What's the best way to reach you, contact you?
The best way to reach us is probably our website. So bbbscentralohio.org. Ryan Love is our Vice President of Development, so he would be a great person to contact, but certainly people are more than welcome to contact me as well. And if I can't help or answer a question, I will certainly point them in the right direction.
Great. And Gina, in addition to financial contributions, how can people be helpful?
Yeah, you know, I think for us, we've been really creative in how folks have been able to impact us. So, you know, our grounds still need a lot of TLC even through the pandemic. So we had 2 different volunteer groups yesterday, socially distancing and wearing masks, and we were doing mulching and sealing and painting and weed cleanup and all of those good things. So we are at all times looking for that type of support. Folks could do drives in their neighborhood for clothing, diaper wipes, diapers, all different types of things like that. We did a drive-by clothing donation drop off. So we had a group of parents that worked together to get a lot of clothes donations for us just a couple weeks ago. And we did a drive-by, kind of like those drive-by birthday parades, and they were just dropping off clothes to us. So that was really a wonderful gift. And the other thing that we're doing, which is kind of fun, is if you want to record yourself reading a book, we have been having volunteers do that because they can't volunteer in the classrooms right now. And then the teachers have been able to put together lesson plans and all of those things with all the different books, and play that kind of community member, you know, dropping by to read a book. And we can also do live Zoom book readings, or if you have a favorite hobby or you're a musician or you play the guitar on the side or something, you could come and do like a music and movement class with one of the kids or one of the classrooms of kids virtually. So you name it, we're doing it right now to make sure that people can stay engaged and volunteering with us pretty much every day still. So yeah, we're always open, and the sky's the limits right now.
What's the best way to reach you to learn about how to sign up?
Yeah, the best way to reach us is probably through our website as well, columbusearlylearning.org. If you go to the contact page, or you can email me directly, or you can email our Director of Development, Amy Deverson Roberts, directly, and we'll be in touch. And again, like I said, anything that we need, we set up and we'll make it happen. So.
And Jessica, what are ways that people can be supportive?
So kind of a combination of what others have said. Our grounds still need some love as well. So we have been bringing in small groups of volunteers to do outdoor work, small increments of time, so that no one will have to use restrooms and those sort of things as well. Donations of supplies. We do have an Amazon wish list set up for both our Women Residency program and our Family Center, so it's an easy way to donate. Also, if you do the Amazon Smiles, you can give back to organizations as well. We have also had people pre-record like trainings or like stress breathing, like stress away breathing, or stress management breathing, those sort of things, or just write a nice note to our frontline staff or residents, encouraging them to keep going. So that would be great as well.
Your website is Ywca Columbus.
Yep, ywcacolumbus.org, and click on get involved or volunteer.
Great. And Chuck, do you have final thoughts about how people could get involved in addition to writing a check?
Well, we are lifecarealliance.org, and you're welcome to email me directly. It's C. Gehring, just the name on the screen there. It's spelled that way. Do not spell it the way it was spelled in the Dispatch article this morning, where they made me Lou Gehrig's brother. It does have an N in the name. So you can, but feel free to write me, C. Gehring at lifecarealliance.org. Go to the website. You have to be trained to take stuff out, but we haven't had anybody, knock on wood, volunteers get COVID, and we have people coming in to pick up the stuff every day. We are clean and sanitizing like you can't believe with masks and things. So we all have our masks and things, but we need volunteers. We need you to deliver, and we have ways to do contactless delivery, kind of like the Domino's Pizza apparently has contactless delivery, and so does Donato's here locally. And so that we can do that, so you don't have to. Now, some people we need you to go in the house, but you can also come to our building on Harmon Avenue, and we need you to sign up before you come, and things like that. But you can pack in the pantry. We just need bodies and hands, and anything you can do to assist us would be great. We also, because we have the warehouse operation on Harmon Avenue, we take a lot of weird stuff. So if you have something that you can donate from your company, we got tons of soap, body lotion. You can't believe what we've gotten in here, and food is a big one that we've gotten in and side things that are shelf stable food. If you have things that you can donate, contact me directly. Shoot me an email, and I'm real serious about that. We take stuff that nobody else does. We really do. And we get it out to the clients. They love pens, Post-it notes, whatever. They're desperate. They'll take anything. So help us with all that. We got the fans out again this summer. And if you can, any of the organizations in the United Way, when Michael showed the slide of the 80 organizations, anybody is thrilled. Now, some can't take volunteers right now, but many of us can, and contact us and we'll hook you up.
Great, thank you. We have also volunteer opportunities on volunteerunited.org, which is United Way's platform for any nonprofit in our community to offer volunteer opportunities. So I urge you to check that out. There are in-person opportunities as well as virtual opportunities. I promise you that we have these great videos that we will be showing throughout the week on social media and on YouTube and other programs that we'll be running, because we will learn when we get off this call at 10 o'clock how to do a better job with them. But we're grateful to our CEOs in Columbus who took the time to record the videos, and to the 29 companies that are participating in Rally for Recovery this week. Our campaign and our funding is laser focused on COVID recovery and relief. Our staff know what's going on in the community and can make recommendations for the best investments so that we can make certain that people are served, thanks to your contribution, that they get the relief and the recovery that they need during this challenging time. Again, this is going to be a long haul for COVID, and we really appreciate the community continuing to step up. Any size gift matters. If we have thousands of donors, and $5, $50, $100, $1,000, when we add them up all together, that's the beauty of United Way, we can make significant impacts in the community. We'll also be hosting a telethon on Friday night on ABC 6 and Channel 10, thanks to the ADS Foundation and to Grange Insurance. They are providing matching funds to inspire giving. So we appreciate your tuning in and sharing that on social media as well. So on liveunitedcentralohio.org, you will find the programs that we're offering throughout the week for Rally for Recovery. Again, you can learn about racial equity. You can participate in a poverty simulation. You can learn about the impacts of COVID on education. Our CMC forum on Wednesday is focused on racial equity and achieving racial equity in your nonprofit. So there's a plethora of opportunities, and I urge you to go to liveunitedcentralohio.org. Thanks to our panelists today, Jamie and Jessica and Chuck and Gina, and to Michael for his presentation. We look forward to seeing you throughout the week. Stay healthy, and thank you again.